We'll have to ask for a recess.
Then we'll need a damn good reason. The judge won't just grant us one.
Make something up.
Wasn't that your department?
Fair.
Were you were excited to sort of come back and explore him some more?
I was, because you know there was talk of that it could work as a standalone, limited. But then I just thought, you've just kind of set this whole thing up. It's the whole thing is so new and fresh. You've just joined not only him but this team as they're this burgeoning time for them all. Where you go from here, sky's the limit. So I was very glad we were given that opportunity.
Well, and he becomes a lawyer so sort of late in the first season too, right? I mean, was that kind of fun to explore the kind of more traditional Perry Mason aspects in the second season?
It was. I mean, listen, there was a big part of me that kind of missed that. I love that kind of Raymond Chandler-esque detective of him, that where the investigation is played out in real time with the audience, and they get to see with him, through him, the same thing, so they have the chance of kind of cracking the case. And I think, to a degree, Mason's best lawyering work comes from that place of an investigator, because it's all one big investigation for him, and at his best, it's when he's firing from that place. The courtroom stuff just becomes more intimidating.
Why is it? I mean, you do. I mean, I haven't finished the season. They didn't give us all the episodes, but you do some great sort of, the inner Perry Mason really comes out in those scenes. He's still that kind of, he's pushing the limits. And so why was it intimidating?
I don't know. I think there was a real luxury in season one, whereby you got to kind of blunder your way into being a trial lawyer in real time. As an actor, it's a real luxury. It's like, I didn't have to turn up as this polished, courtroom trial lawyer. I was, I blundered when Perry did, as to kind of staggering his way and finding his feet, his legal feet. And then in season two, one would expect that there's a little more kind of, he's a little more confident in his legal, in his legal performance.
Right.
And then,
okay.
And so to a degree, kind of as an actor, you kind of go, oh, right, I should be a little more proficient now than I have been. That's not necessarily the case. That's what makes it intimidating.
For both of you, I was wondering, what it was like kind of taking on these iconic characters in a little bit more, there's still very much a field of what they were in the original show, but there's a little bit more of the structure of the original show in terms of your roles and how you help the case and all of that stuff. So I was wondering what it was like taking that on, what it was like kind of bringing your own spin to these classic TV characters.
I think that, yeah.
Do you mean the original show as in the original Perry Mason?
Yes, it's still on Netflix.
I know,
and
we both watched it. We've both been talking today about how we've watched it, with our grandmother, and my dad. And the only thing I remember about Della and Perry from the original series is there's little moments at the end of an episode where they'd have a little kind of flirty, fun, like, she'd make him a little cup of tea or a little martini or something, and they'd have a fun moment. And I think, wow, that's really different from me and Perry.
Has nothing to do
no
with
chance
you.
of that. No chance of that in this new one. No, not at all.
No tension between you two whatsoever.
No.
But
what about you, Chris? Was there anything you wanted to bring from it? I mean, I don't know. I would want to tip my hat maybe a little bit, but
No. I didn't want to bring anything from it, and not to be a jerk, but like it was a show written for just white people, so I don't honor that.
That's true.
I'm not like, it's cool and that's a cool piece of history, but they knew what they did and they knew what they were doing. So no, I don't want to bring anything from that because it was toxic. No.
Right. And you guys have such amazing kind of like interior lives, particularly this season. I was wondering if there was anything that you were really pushing for in terms of the exploration of your characters, or if this all kind of came from the scripts and from the kind of conception of season 2.
I know that I wanted to see who Paul is when he has no control, because he was in such control and he was on the right side of justice the whole first season. So it's hard to be like, no, Paul's not saying a good thing, but who is he when it gets a little hairier and a little fishier? I think one of the questions I asked Tim Van Patten, I said, yeah, this is cool that Perry's helping now, but who is Perry when it's an all black case? And that was a conversation we had started at the end of the first season of just making sure we remember that the 1930s wasn't nice. It wasn't kind. The unconsciousness there was to be a racist, and to not be a racist there is an anomaly.
Right. What about you, Juliet? Was there anything that you were like, I mean, obviously you have this kind of different relationship at home, a more mature kind of adult relationship, which I know is something that Michael said that he really was keen on, but like, yeah, was that something that you were excited about?
Yeah, I really love the fact that last year was all about, the first season was all about, and Tim and I talked about it a lot, Tim Van Patten, about this idea that Della is always in the sidelines, and she's learned to watch and listen to everything. And it's how she's become so good at what she does, is by absorbing and waiting and making the right call. And in this season, I talked with Jack and Michael quite early on, and we all had the same feeling that we really wanted to see Della's work life and home life and how they're different, because at home she clearly has not got her life together in any way. It's very messy, and she doesn't know how to deal with a relationship, and is incapable of being honest, and all of these things that you wouldn't associate with Della at work. And that juxtaposition between sort of someone who has got such clarity in the workplace and is so confused personally. So this sort of love affair that developed was really thrilling.
Well, it's also fun to see kind of the nucleus, which was such a big part of the original show, of the team together in a really fun way. And I was wondering what it was like kind of, staking that claim with Juliet and Chris and even Shea Wiggum and all of these people, what that process was like.
Just great that, again, harking back to what I just said, they wanted to put them in a place at the end of season 1, when they're all having their Charlie's Angels moment in the office and everything is great. The beginning of season 2, they're very fractured and that things aren't working. And I love that. And so it was this journey of how do they reunify them for them to work as a team in order to kind of solve the case. That kind of conflict only makes for good drama.